04.
Hey, you're listening to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We love to profile entrepreneurs, but we love to profile people even more that are helping other entrepreneurs. I'm joined by Vadim Vladimirskiy from Adar IT. Vadim, welcome to Get Down to Business.
Thank you, Shalom. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on the program.
Absolutely. So every business these days, every individual really, we have to embrace IT. The challenge is many business owners seem to, get distracted, and the IT needs become quite time-consuming. Your services are all about ensuring that a business owner can focus and do what they do best. Am I correct?
That's exactly right. I mean, we as business owners rely on technology and our data and applications really, much more and more as time goes on, and it's so important to us running our business, but it's getting so much more complex and difficult to manage. So when we started Adar about 11 years ago, our goal was to simplify IT and help manage it for our clients, for our small business and medium business customers, and give them the same level of IT support as, big Fortune 500 organizations enjoy, but at an affordable price.
And that's really important. And you're taking the constant R&D, the research and development out of it as well, because every business has to innovate in order to stand out from the competition. But in this day and age of cybersecurity threats, and Vadim, I think you would agree that small business owners are at as much or perhaps more at risk than some of the larger companies that have teams and teams of people dedicated to protecting themselves. We need to be innovative and we need to protect ourselves. And your team takes the work out of that process. I understand you just rolled out a new platform called Nerdio, or I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You are. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Nerdio, I like the name of that. And it's fascinating from what I've read. But if you don't mind, tell our listeners a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So the concept behind Nerdio is really simple. If you think about how we as consumers, consume things like movies and shows, it really has changed dramatically over the last few years where, we used to go to Blockbuster and rent DVDs and put them in our DVD player at home. Now really nobody does that. We go on Netflix, we go on Hulu, and we stream the movie to any device that we may be using at any location, and it's really seamless and easy to do. And the concept behind Nerdio is making IT be a streaming IT, make it as easy as it is for you to stream a movie to your iPad. We make the IT system for small and mid-sized businesses as easy to use and access as streaming movies. So we take all the complexity, all the data and applications, and we put them in a private cloud where our security experts and our teams constantly watch and monitor it, and we give small businesses access to that data in a very easy way.
That's fantastic. What a great resource. So once again, we're chatting with Vadim Vladimirskiy, the founder of Adar IT, a Chicagoland-based business. So Vadim, you understand what business owners are facing because you are a business owner, and I understand Adar recently celebrated a little over 10, 11 years in business, and I know you deal with the same challenges that many of your clients are facing, but there must be a story behind Adar. Tell us a little bit about how you got started and the team that you have in place supporting your clients' efforts.
Absolutely. So we started back in 2005, so just over 11 years ago. And as I mentioned, we really started the company when we realized that small businesses were struggling to manage their IT needs. And we knew a better way because we were doing IT consulting for companies in the Chicagoland area. We knew that there were technologies out there that were being used by larger organizations that smaller businesses could really benefit from. So we set out to develop a service that was pretty revolutionary at the time. Now cloud is kind of ubiquitous and everyone uses it, but back then it was a pretty revolutionary concept. Many people ask me why the name Adar, and the reason the name of the company was Adar is because we found it in the Hebrew month of Adar, which is a very joyous and fortunate month. So we wanted to kind of borrow some of that good fortune from the Hebrew calendar for the company that we were starting at the time.
That's fantastic. So cloud computing is something that we hear a lot about, and I've actually visited your offices and seen the war room, if you might call it that, the teams of people involved in not only actively working to upgrade and constantly improve your clients' environments, but also protect information and protect data, because that's what business owners are working so hard to do. We're all working on our respective projects. So, Vadim, I love to pick our listeners and our guests' brain on some tips and advice that they might have. So, Vadim, emails are in the headlines a lot these days, thanks to Secretary Hillary Clinton and her emails, and the DNC's emails being displayed all over the place. Tell us if there's one bit of information that you think a business owner should put into motion before the end of the year. What would it be in terms of protecting themselves?
Well, I think if you force me to pick one, I would say, user education would be the one I would suggest that every small business owner look into. And by user education, I mean just helping their employees identify, what's a phishing scam versus a legitimate email. Because what you're seeing nowadays is most of the attacks are not necessarily highly technically sophisticated, but they're using various social engineering techniques. And having many users and many customers that we support on a day-to-day basis, we see a lot of these attempts, and they're quite clever. Malicious companies or individuals try to fool employees of certain company to either give them information, make bank transfers, open up files, and those are getting more and more sophisticated. So I would say help your users understand what's legitimate, what's not legitimate, and really be a little bit more skeptical, especially when it comes to opening files, making bank transfers, doing anything that just doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, it's likely there's something going on, and you should just pick up the phone and call. Don't reply to the email, because a lot of times the hackers have thought of that, and when you reply to the email, it's actually going back to the hacker. So that would be, again, if you force me to pick one, that would be the top one in my mind. Well,
that's important advice, and it was as recently as just the other day that I was selling something online, and somebody said that they were sending me a PayPal payment, and it certainly was not a PayPal payment. It came from an email address that did not look right. I didn't click that button because you would have been upset at me, Vadim, if I would have, and instead obviously realized it was a scam. And it doesn't, it's not just for the sophisticated among us or the very large companies that are, again, facing attacks and under threats. In fact, it's the small businesses that might not even have the resources to protect themselves. So, Vadim, you've certainly grown your business, and I know you're based in Skokie, and I know you're protecting and helping a lot of companies, and we'll be sure to get your information in just a moment. But Vadim, one more question for you. What was the most surprising thing for you after founding Adar in 2005 about running a business yourself?
That's a great question. I would say the most surprising thing for me was how hot the technology market has become in Chicago over the years, especially I would say the last 5 years, where finding quality talent and finding individuals that have the right skill set in the technology field, specifically in Chicago, has been a lot more difficult than I anticipated when starting the business. At that time in 2005, that probably wasn't the case, but also, this being my first, sizable company that I was running, that's something I did not anticipate. So I would say that was probably one of my biggest surprises.
Fascinating.
Since we started.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Vadim Vladimirskiy, the founder of Adar IT, and started in 2005. Really great information, and I know our listeners will have questions for you. To learn more, how can they get in touch with the team at Adar?
The best way to get in touch with us is visit our website, getnerdio.com. That's getnerdio, one word.com. Also, to help with some of these security tips and kind of stay current with the latest things going on in the world of technology and IT, specifically for small businesses, sign up for our blog. We have a daily post coming out regarding various latest security threats. So that's another way to stay educated and know what's going on.
Fantastic. Well, Vadim, we appreciate your time and your advice. We'll be sure to check back in with you again in the future. Until then, don't touch that dial, Chicago. We got more for you after this quick break.
It's back